I know that many of you out there right now are hurting. You are going through things that not many people would understand. And even if you feel like you could express the way you're feeling to somebody else, it's almost going to make you mad because they're going to say, "Oh, I understand," when they absolutely have no clue what it's like to go through what you're going through. And the other day, I had the opportunity to talk to somebody who I could tell they were struggling so mightily, and you could see it. You could see it on their face. And as I'm talking to her, I didn't know exactly how to go into, asking her, what's wrong, because I didn't want to pry. But I could tell that she needed to let something out. Now this was something that was work related, but I could tell that she just needed to let it out. And I knew at that point in time it was up to me to just be an ear, not try to fix anything, not try to force anything, but to just make myself readily available in case she did want to share what was going on. And to not come from a place of judgment, to not come from a place of trying to fix it, but just coming from a place of listening and caring and just letting her know that it's okay. Like, you're going to be absolutely fine just by my mannerisms and my calm and, very positive energy. And sure enough, I didn't expect it to happen, but she did share with me. And she told me about all the things that were going on. And, I know that there's so many people out there that wish that they had someone to talk to, that they knew that there was someone out there who would listen without judgment, without looking at them differently, with just wanting to have someone who just pay attention and not even validate what they're feeling, but just know that, someone out there can help. And the more I really thought about that whole situation, the more I realized that, God gave us each a skill and a gift. And it's interesting that I'm starting to realize what that skill and that gift is for me, and that is patience, and that is empathy, and that is being able to really just hone in on the energy of a person and be available and lend an ear as needed. Um, that is something that I've noticed that in my life, people will open up to me because of me having that gentle nature. And if you, it's also funny because a lot of people stereotype me and judge me just by the way I look, like this big bald guy. He must be, a jerk and have a, aggressive demeanor, which, hey, don't get me wrong, I can have my side too. But I have made so many mistakes in my life, and I have created this pattern of, obstacles that led to me realizing that being a different way in life, being available for other people, this life is not about us. We are not meant to live this life selfishly and for us. We are meant to live this life to help other people. And I lived a life previously where, it was selfish and it was about me. And I left a path of destruction with people that I hurt by doing so. And it's interesting that the path that I went through in life to get to this point where now I feel like I don't want it to be about me anymore. And as a matter of fact, I hate it when it's about me because I can actually feel the negativity deep inside me, kind of just make me feel terrible. But the exhilaration and just the way I feel when I'm able to be there for somebody else and help somebody and know that they don't even need me to fix anything. They just need to know that there's somebody there that's going to listen. That brings ultimate joy to my life. And what's interesting to me too is the path I had to take to get to this point where I went from being a selfish person and only thinking about the things that I wanted in life to now looking at my life and knowing that I have transformed it completely and wanting to be readily available for other people. Now, it's not where I do this in a nature where I impact me personally, because I don't want to take so much of me and give it to others that I got nothing left for me, because it's still important, to feel good about what you were doing in your life, and you got to take care of yourself. You can't just drain all your energy and give it to somebody else. I've said this in previous videos. I feel like I'm at a point where I'm a recovering people pleaser because it was so draining. I was giving so much of myself because I thought it was the right thing to do that I didn't have anything left at times to give to the next person who needed something from me. And I think that was an important lesson for me. But what's also interesting is the path in life and all the mistakes that I had to make to get to this point. Unfortunately, you can look back on your life and realize that the path of destruction you possibly had, whether it's hurting people or whatever that may look like for you, being there for others and being available for others is the ultimate gift in life. And that might sound like crazy to some of you, but I urge you to actually take the time to, and if you don't do this on a daily basis, do something nice for somebody else and just see how you feel. Do something where you can be there for somebody else and just see the impact that it can make, and then tell me how you feel. If you've ever experienced something that just warm and energetic feeling because you knew that you just helped somebody, whether you were able to transform their life or not, or just make them feel better, put it in the comments, like how that made you feel. Because I think it's really important that nowadays we don't negate our impact on other people, that we don't forget about the importance of being there for others, and not also living in the past. Just because I was a certain way in the past doesn't mean I always have to go back to it. But it was a good lesson for every stopping point in my life to get to where I am now, to realize that people are important and friendships are important, relationships are important, family is important. But knowing that somebody needs you just to listen and be available to them, that is so vital. And here's what I will tell you too. You will know when it's your time to help somebody, because when you don't go to that calling, when you don't, like, you have that intuition to say to yourself, I feel like this person needs me. But if you don't act on it, you'll feel it. You will absolutely feel it, and you'll think about it later on in the day, and you'll know you missed an opportunity. And it's actually really rewarding too, to know that that is not a mistake. When you are put in a position to help somebody out, that is not a mistake. That was meant to happen. You were meant to be at that point and at that time to be readily available for the person that was in need. And it's even more rewarding, I think this is what I was trying to get to, is that knowing that God chose you. God chose you to be that person to help that other person. God trusts you enough to say, you know what, I want you to be the person to help that person. And I trust you enough that you're going to be able to do that. But you have to answer the calling. You can't miss out on these opportunities. They're really, really important because it's all a trickle effect. The impact you make in one person's life, that person can turn around, and because you made an impact and you changed their life, they are now able to change somebody else's life. And that is how you change the world. So I don't want you forgetting about the importance of each other, the importance of being available to one another, because it's such an important role, and it's such a reward to know that you were chosen to be the person to help somebody else. I don't know if I've told this story before, and I don't think I have, because honestly, it's not something that it feels like I'm bragging, but I'm really not. But I remember one morning I asked God, I was like, God, give me the opportunity to be a blessing in somebody else's life, to make myself available for somebody in need. And I remember it was all day long, and I probably shouldn't be looking for things. And actually, this is a really good lesson too, and I'm going to be very brief with this. But I remember all day long I was kind of looking for it because I get so energized. I love helping and I love being there for somebody. But it didn't really happen. And I remember I'm leaving work and I'm driving home, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, God, I guess not today, because I'm thinking, like, when's the other opportunities I'm actually going to have? I thought it would be at work, or while I was at the gym, or while I was walking down the street, whatever it may be. Anyway, it was interesting that I remember telling God, I'm like, okay, I guess today's not the day. So I get to the grocery store and, I grab my stuff and I'm in line. And I don't even think I've told my wife this, but I'm standing in line and I'm next up, and there's this couple in line and they speak Spanish, and I could tell that they were having trouble with something. And they were the price was on the screen, and they were fumbling through their wallet, and they were trying different cards, and nothing was working. And I thought to myself, this is the perfect opportunity. Like, no way. Here's the ultimate blessing. It wasn't. I just get goosebumps thinking about it. I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, thank you. Like, I was thanking God for this opportunity to be able to pay for their food, for the supplies they needed because they couldn't afford it, and I knew it. And I just remember sitting there, and I'm in line, and I didn't even realize that I had my debit card, and I just handed it to the lady. I'm like, I got this. I got to take care of it. But the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, thank you, God. Like, thank you. Like, it felt so good. And what's interesting is it came when I wasn't trying to force the opportunity either. God had his perfect timing for when he wanted me to be a blessing in somebody else's life. And it's just so funny to me that I think we get away from God's perfect timing. The timing is always going to be right. The timing is always going to be perfect, and it's going to be when we least expect it. And I talk a lot in my other videos about not taking control of things and just relaxing and let things evolve and trust God to know that He has got our back, and what we want in this life, He will provide in His right timing when we are ready for it. And I just remember leaving that store, and there's not a drug or amount of alcohol or anything in the world that could have made me feel the way I felt, knowing that God entrusted me to be in that situation, and I took advantage of it. And I took advantage of it because it was natural. It was organic. I didn't think twice. It just happened. It was a flow. And guys, I'm telling you, when you give from a giving heart, when you want to be there for somebody else, when that is something that you want to be readily in your life, you will be rewarded. You will be rewarded. And it may not be right now. It may not be a week from now. And I'm not even talking about money. I'm just talking about the blessings of life that God will provide. And and ever since I've changed my life to think about and be there for others, my life has changed dramatically. Dramatically. I mean, just the way I feel, who I am. I'm thankful just for that. Just the peace that I have in this life. I don't worry about anything anymore because I trust God fully to take care of everything. And financially, things have become better. And what's really nice about that is I know God is entrusting me with more money, because the more money I get, the more I'm able to help and give too. And it's all an exchange. So guys, this is an important message that I felt like I just needed to get out there. I was actually had a bunch of stuff planned out in segments of talking about God's perfect timing, and I hated everything that I wrote down because it just didn't feel right. I started the video, before this, and it wasn't right. It wasn't a natural flow. And this I feel like the message, even though I'm probably all over the place with my words and stuff, but I feel like the message is right. And I hope you guys got something from this. I hope you understand the importance of just trusting God, but also the importance of just being there for each other. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video.